Okay, so this gets a direct response. I've not written any of this down. I'm hoping that I love the poem enough to be able to do it justice without, trying to order my thoughts. The thing I think that really spoke to me the most when I first came across this poem was how much I felt it spoke to me. When I was probably about 19, 20 when I read this poem for the first time. It was on my university reading list. I was doing a course on modernism, and at the time I was really quite depressed. I think studying modernism might do that to you, but also, I was far away from home. I liked my friends and that, but I didn't really felt like people understood me a lot of the time. I often felt I couldn't get my point across, or that the point I was trying to get across wasn't the points other people were trying to get across. And when you're 19, 20, you don't sometimes realise that it's fine to have completely different views to every single other person that you know. So I had this idea that maybe I wasn't understood, people didn't get me. And pretentious as that sounds, because it is very pretentious to kind of consider yourself as the first person to be truly unique. The poem itself really spoke to me at the time because largely the character, Prufrock, he's very caught up in how others perceive him, and he's his own worst enemy. He thinks too much before just speaking to people. Part of his problem is that he'll psych himself out. He won't allow himself the chance to, or he won't allow other people the chance to have a conversation with him. He just assumes it would be worthless, that the ends themselves would be meaningless, so he doesn't bother. So he comes across as a very kind of archetypally depressed character. So it kind of saddens me a little bit that I related so much to that when I was 19, because if you're going to relate to that part of it, it means you're in a pretty bad place, I think. I think most people grow out of it eventually, so there is that hope. But the reason I think it's such a wonderful poem is just because it sums that feeling up so well. So I'm just going to quickly grab a copy and just have a look at some lines, because doing this off the top of my head, while I could talk about it for about 30 minutes, that's probably not what you guys want to sit and... Mind you, if you've watched any of my videos and you're watching this one because you've seen those, maybe you do want 30 minutes, who knows. So anyway, you've got these ideas that, firstly I said he's kind of vain. He worries about what people think of him. He's concerned that people will comment on aspects of his physicality. No matter how well he dresses, he's got this morning coat, he's buttoned, he's got a rich yet modest tie. He's a stylish, classy dresser, and yet he knows people are going to be talking about him behind his back about things that he can't change so much. So his arms and legs are thin, he's got a bald spot, so it doesn't really matter how well he dresses, whether he rolls his trousers in a particular style when he's older, whether he's wearing a white flannel or whatever the fashion at that time is. He's always concerned about the way people perceive him, which is summed up beautifully by this line, "Do I dare eat a peach?" Because I don't know if you've ever tried to eat a peach, particularly if you've ever tried eating a peach or an orange with a beard. Fruit is not your friend. It's tasty, but you are going to be messy. You are going to be dripping with this sticky, sweet nectar. And there's that kind of worry, I don't know if you've ever seen someone, the office I used to work in, people would eat bananas in the office, and no one could eat a banana without making some reference to it looking obscene. Putting a banana in your mouth, it's a little bit obscene. It's the same thing if you eat a peach. You eat a peach and it's beautifully tasty, but in so doing, you lose all dignity because you're going to have all this gunk just dripping off your chin. I don't know, maybe some of you just eat a lot cleaner than I do. But there's this idea that, do you do something that you want to do? Do you do something that is going to be tasty? Do you eat the peach, or do you worry about eating the peach, how other people will see it? I mean, I toyed with taking these videos down for a while, just because I thought they weren't getting very many views, not many people would really be interested in it. There's not, I don't think, not that I've seen anyway, I mean, I've searched it out, believe me. I've not seen anybody else doing this on YouTube, you know, talking about the poems they like in a lot of detail. You know, there's a lot of people putting their own poetry up, talking about that, but, you know, no one really talks about the stuff that's already out there. I think because it's a little bit too much like schoolwork. You know, people assume I had to do that in college, so I'm not doing it now. Well, I like doing that in college, so that's why I'm doing it now. But yeah, so I thought about taking these videos down, because, you know, what does it really say about someone if they're willing to put all this fairly narcissistic trap up? You know, who cares what I think about Prufrock or Auden or, you know, Marvell? Who really cares? But I didn't in the end, because it comes down to that question, you know, do you actually dare to eat the peach? Do you want to do what you want to do, or are you going to worry about what people think about what you do? So, you know, you just put your stuff out there and see what happens. So that's kind of one of the lessons that Prufrock maybe didn't learn, that hopefully if you've read his poem, that you do. You know, that you shouldn't be so wrapped up in what people think about you. You should just get on with your life and do it. You know, that's not to say live a life without consequences, but certainly live a life without reference to how other people view you, in most respects. So you've got that idea. Then you've got the idea, as I said, he's his own worst enemy when talking to other people. I mean, he talks about these women, the women in the room, the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. Now he repeats that twice, and I guess he's kind of drawn to these women, you know, whether he likes it or not. He wants to talk to these women, but he doesn't. You know, they're talking about Michelangelo. Now, is he intimidated by that? Probably not necessarily. Is he a little bit over it? You know, does he think that's a bit of a cliche? Like, oh, good for them, they're talking about Michelangelo. How obvious. You know, does he think he's too good for them? Possibly. He tells us that he understands people. He knows it all already. You know, he's seen the eyes before, the eyes that sum you up. He's felt the arms before, the arms that are more concerned with shawls and bracelets, and, you know, he has this view that women are materialistic, I guess, and he has this view that people will make assumptions about you, people will presume about you, they'll leave you sprawling on a pin on a wall, you know, they'll just like put you in your little pigeonhole and you're summed up, so no matter what you say, you've already been kind of categorized. Which is ironic, because the whole poem is him categorizing other people, saying how worthless they are. You know, so he's kind of, you know, he doesn't really see that he does that himself, but, you know, that's one of the things that stops him talking to other people. So he talks about, you know, okay, so these people are here, and so should I talk to them? You know, it's all very nice and genteel. We're having toast and tea and marmalade and cakes. You know, it's all very kind of 11s, if you're British. But he talks about, well, you know, what could I say to these people? You know, should I say that I walked around and I saw people smoking out of their windows and they looked lonely and that gave me certain thoughts? Should I say that sometimes I feel like I'm a crab at the bottom of the sea? You know, he has these very intense thoughts. And should he share those with people, or should he not? I should point out this is just one reading of the poem. You might completely disagree with me that the poem is about this at all, but this is what I got from it. And interestingly, it's something that Eliot himself brings up. You know, you can say something and then someone comes back at you and says, no, that's not what I meant, you misunderstood me. That's not what the words I said actually mean. And that's one of the interesting things about language. You know, you can, if you've ever had a fight with your girlfriend or boyfriend, you know, you say something and then they twist the word slightly and say it back to you and you're like, no, that's not what I said. And then you think about it and say, well, that is what I said. That is exactly what I said, but that's not what I meant. You know, there's this idea that your words are your worst enemy. So Eliot, you know, kind of talks about that as well, you know. So maybe I have understood this poem differently to you, but that doesn't matter, because human voices will wake you and you will drown. You know, language will kill you because it will be misunderstood and misinterpreted. And I've got to stop talking because I think this is going on for 10 minutes already, but I'm not going to say anything more about the poem. I just wanted to kind of expand upon some thoughts. I haven't really come to any conclusions. Basically, if you've read this poem and you feel like, you know, it sums you up, and you've kind of self-diagnosed yourself as severely depressed because you just can't relate and blah 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 blah. If you sort of see yourself as proof rock, don't worry, you'll get over it, because I did, and most people do. So anyway, that was kind of intense. Probably a little bit more detail about myself than I wanted to go into, and not really so much commentary on the poem. Interesting, but maybe not interesting. Maybe really, really not interesting. Who knows? Anyway, a different poem, I think. Next time, something a bit more upbeat. Failing that, I might look at Hollow Men. Really bum us all out. Anyway, see you later.